that took too long. Mercury retrograde is live and well right now with technology going, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome one and all to Isles Talk, Season 7, Episode 4 here. And joining me this evening is someone who really shouldn't need any introductions here. You can find him on the Pucks and 7. The YouTube link is in the first comment. He is a co-host of Puck and 7 with Victoria Madiash, and he is also the host of the NHL Hot Stove on the Channel 91, Sirius XM, the one, the only Ryan Paton. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure, man. How are you? I was actually grooving to the beat of that song while I was waiting, so you could have taken all the time you wanted. That was good. That was a good beat. I love it. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you. Appreciate the ask.
Not a problem. Gary hates that song, by the way. He's like,
really?
dude, we need to
Why?
change that. I don't know. Gary's
Well,
getting
maybe
old.
he's
I don't
heard
know
it more than I have, right? I think maybe if I heard it again, I don't know. We'll see.
Yes, Gary's going to Vegas, everybody. So
Very nice.
I'm not feeling sorry for. Okay, if he gets stuck at the airlines, I'll feel sorry for him. But if he has no problems and he's in Vegas, I have no sympathy for him whatsoever.
I went to Vegas for the draft in 24. I'd never been to Vegas before, and it was so hot. It was hot. I know
Yes.
everyone in Vegas gets it.
It's a dry hot too.
It was. I've never ever experienced anything like coming out of the airport and through the door and then into whatever the sauna that I entered. I thought, wow. And then it was just getting from that to the hotel, even from walking from the cart inside the hotel. It was crazy. But yeah, that was a fun time.
Before we begin, it is only right to acknowledge and say Happy Remembrance Day to everyone north of the border. For all my Canadian friends and fans up north, Happy Remembrance Day. And for everyone here in the U.S., Happy Veterans Day. And thank you all to both who have served both countries. And we thank you for your sacrifice and your commitment. And, we wish you all the best. So thank you for your services. And, oh, wait a minute. There he is. There's Gary.
Oh,
Gary,
hey,
I told you, we're family in here. This is
you
not
are
going to get
family.
nice sometimes.
Yeah. So I've changed it then because I don't want him to make a comment about me. I hate that song too. I hate it too. There you
go. And also, strictly for Islander fans here who are watching Coach Baffy's Corner, scheduling conflicts happened very quickly here, and I had told Tommy this afternoon that it's like, sorry, dude. I got to start around 8:15. I'm kind of killing some time right now because he's still finishing up his show. But there's no animosity here, guys. We are very well aware that we're doing two shows at the same time. Nothing against Tommy. We love each other. Yada yada yada. No drama. So moving forward from that, hopefully Tommy will be on here later. We'll find out. But Ryan, I gotta tell you, bud, when we do shows like this, we want to come in, and in this case, I do have a drink. It's ginger ale. We come in, we all start talking hockey.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's Islanders, but I wanted to bring a different story today, a couple of different stories. I wanted to talk about briefly the NHL as a whole this year.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about the Olympics.
Yep.
We're going to talk about that mushy middle with every team basically in, having the same records for the most part. And then we're going to get your take on the Islanders from someone who's outside of Long Island.
Sure.
So before we get into the Islanders and everything else, for you guys in the chat, this is what I want to see. I want to see the kissing up here, because this is the only way you guys are going to get your little comments in here during the show. If you behave, I'll bring your comments in here. And that includes you, Gary, because you're not here right now. So, having said that, Ryan, we're going to look back at this season 10 years from now, maybe even less, 5 years from now. as a hockey fan, we've got Crosby and Ovechkin, the combination. This could be their last year together
Mhm.
in the NHL, and at the same time, we're starting to witness Celebrini and Bedard.
Yeah.
We've got Erik Karlsson still winning with the Penguins. You've got Cale Makar with Colorado. You still have Jonathan Toews,
Yep.
Patrick Kane doing really well with their teams, and of course, you've got McDavid. You have Draisaitl out in the West. You've got a lot of mix of young and veterans on this in this league right now. And we have the Olympics coming up, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but
Yeah.
how spoiled are we as fans this season to really witness? Are we going to witness like a passing of the torch here?
Yeah. It's a great point, and what we've seen the first month, maybe just a little bit more than that, that we've seen in this 25-26 season is I haven't seen it start like this before. And you mentioned all the names that you did, the teams as well, the Anaheim Ducks. I mean, where the heck did this come from? Is it sustainable? I don't know, and I don't care if it is or it isn't, but I just want to see it happen because it's a great story. The Avalanche are
Yes,
doing what Avalanche teams do, and that is win. I was thinking about the players, back to the names you mentioned, the Crosbys, the Ovechkins. Look what Corey Perry's doing in LA with the
he's got
Kings.
10 goals already.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And part of his contract too, I don't have any absolute confirmation on this, but anytime his agent goes to a team, right at the bottom, there's an asterisk that says, if you want to get to the cup final, then sign my client. Now, I know that's not true, but you know what I mean. All he does is get
Absolutely.
back to the finals. Too bad he hasn't won a ton of rings. But the point is that Perry's doing what he's doing. Ovi's still scoring. Crosby, Evgeny Malkin. You mentioned Tays, great story. Everybody was pulling for this guy to come back. The fact he's doing it in his hometown of Winnipeg is fantastic. Patrick Kane, not part of that youth movement in Detroit because he's not young, but he's part of that team
He's
in
part of it.
Detroit. He is, yeah, with the Red Wings. And then you have the McDavids, who he scored that absolutely ridiculous goal the other night, that spinorama, right? That was just insane.
Yeah.
Paul, he makes things look so simple. Like he makes the hard look absolutely impossibly easy, right? And it's a full admiration for him. Anyway, I was thinking about Bedard especially, and Macklin Celebrini's doing what he's doing. Leo Carlson's doing what he's doing in Anaheim. But Connor Bedard, for me, two things stand out so far this season. And they all encompass around his mindset. Remember when he wasn't put on the Four Nations roster?
Right.
Many people thought that was the right move. Many people also agreed, hey, maybe he should have been given a chance. I remember an interview that he did, I think day of or the night of, whatever it was, during a game or after the game. And one of the questions was, paraphrasing, what are your thoughts on not making the team? He looked ticked. He looked annoyed. He looked pissed off. And I thought, okay, that is then something where he needs to take that, use that as motivation, and put that aside and say, I'm going to focus on, number one, getting back to where I can play, which is at a high level. But secondly, get on that Olympic team.
Yep.
Get on the Olympic team. Forget the Four Nations, great experience, but it's not the Olympics. And the second thing with him I've noticed, and I think this is happening, and I'd love to see it continue. When you're young and when you're a Bedard and when you are a game changer, a league changer, to be honest, there's a handful of guys right now, the Celebrinis, even Schaefer in New York, as you know, a
Mhm.
game changer, a team changer, a league changer. But when all you've known is winning at any level before you get to the NHL and you don't win as often, it can play tricks with your mind. And I think that's been a big thing with him in Chicago. The Hawks made it so evident that they wanted to put physical bodies around him to support him and protect him. But they weren't looking at, let's get talent around him as well, because you can say whatever you want about 99.9% of the league outside of McDavid. But as good as these guys are, say a Jack Eichel, just throwing a Jack Eichel out in Vegas, he's surrounded by some pretty good players. So if you're surrounded by better players and better quality, you're going to be better at what you do. And I think with him, it's this maturity of, okay, this is a team that we're not expected to win, at least right now. But let's put that aside and let's really just take this team on my back and stop stressing about not winning, because it's not going to happen for a tiny bit. Chicago's moving in the right direction. but it's taken a bit of time. So I think
Right.
mentally for him, it's one of the biggest hurdles that he's tried to get over, and I can see it this year. He's relaxed, he's confident, he's been engaged, he's been physical, he's not backing down from players who try to get at him. And yeah, Chicago's playing better. And any team's going to play well or play better if your best player plays well. And that's what
Right.
Bedard's doing. But yeah, we're spoiled, man. I hope this continues, and I hope we're all taking great appreciation with this, because this first month has been awesome.
I would personally love, again, Ovechkin just racked up 900 goals.
Crazy.
Crosby's still racking up his points.
Yeah.
Hockey gods permitting, give me one more Pittsburgh Washington playoff matchup. Give
Oh,
me one more.
count me in.
Yeah.
Count me in. Yeah.
Like, honestly, I don't care if they were, yeah, give me that one more time. It's being asked around in the NHL, among fans, who would you start your team with? Celebrini or Bedard?
Yeah.
I would still go Bedard
Okay. And why is that?
for almost everything you said.
Okay.
The skill set for him is there.
Yep.
Again, you want to start again. Islander fans, you know this. You normally start from the goalie out, defenseman, center, whatever. But Bedard can do both. He can play center at times, but he's more of that winger. But he's electric. Not that Celebrini isn't, but Bedard has that other element, that wow factor that Celebrini is just introducing everyone to right now.
Yeah, it's a great point. It's a great point.
He's doing that now.
Yep.
This is his coming out moment,
Mm-hmm.
but Bedard's been doing it for a while now, and for me, I would start Bedard. How about you?
It's a close one for me, but I
Yeah,
think that I would probably do that as well, because we've seen one more year of a sample size with Connor, and
right,
outside of Celebrini. I think one of the biggest benefits, or one of the things that Bedard has that, well, to be quite honest, not many players in the game have, is that shot. He has one of the best shots in the game. And I was looking the other night when he scored. I can't remember the team that they were playing, but he went in. I think it was a power play. It's kind of like Ovechkin. You know that Ovi's going to get the pass at some point in his office, and nine
right,
times out of 10, no team can stop it. You know what's going to happen with Connor as well in Chicago. He comes in on that wing, gets it on the high slot kind of thing, and then he just rips it top shelf. And I was looking at the one goal that he scored, and I thought, if I was a goaltender, again, I've never, well, I was when I was very young, but again, not at the level at all to make it to the NHL. But
right,
if I was a goalie and I knew that there was a power play coming up for Chicago, my game plan would be, okay, yeah, I got to stop all four of the other guys on the ice, but I know the puck's going to get to Bedard, and I know that he's going to go top shelf. But even then, they couldn't stop it. And
right,
so I think one of the biggest things with Connor is that he has that shot. Not saying Celebrini doesn't and may not, but you can't teach that. Like, that's just pure skill.
right,
And he's worked at it. So I probably would go with, because of we've seen one more season with Bedard, I'd
right.
probably go with Connor as well. Again, like you said, not taking any disrespect at all toward Macklin Celebrini, heck of a player, but I just think because we've seen one more year of him already, I think I'd go with Connor.
Yeah.
And the fact that we're saying Connor and not calling him Bedard, he's the only other Connor we call by the first name is McDavid.
Is
So I'm,
McDavid, right,
right? Yeah. So hey, I'm
right.
in the same category now. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you. Let's bring them both in at the moment.
Okay.
Celebrini, Bedard, in this case, Leo Carlson. We got some young kids leading the league as of right now.
Yeah.
They're in the top 7 in scoring. Top 5 maybe, depending on where they are, by the end of the night. Let's talk Olympics. Do you think these kids should get in?
Absolutely I do. Absolutely I do. And the biggest reason is this. Well, two. Here's 1B first. 1B is they're extremely talented, but 1A is this, and the game has changed. Years ago, if you and I had this discussion, I mean, it's been years since the NHL has gone to the Olympics, but years ago, there would never be a discussion of, okay, we need some youth to come in, some skill, we need experience. And because these players haven't been there before, they're young, they don't know what it takes to win at that level, to play for your nation. That's all garbage to me. It doesn't
Right,
matter. It doesn't matter whatsoever. The way that these kids are brought up and how they're groomed as not just humans, but also hockey players, it's
Right.
completely different. So I think, and look, we know the Olympics is a different style of game. I know between Canada and the US, it's going to be physical. I don't think we're going to see what we did in the Four Nations. That was
Right.
pretty nuts. But it's not going to be as physical because that's what the Olympic Games are pretty much about.
It's
So
the
then if
international rules, right?
that's right. So if that's the case, you got the ice. Why don't you give these young guns a shot? Give them an opportunity because it's not like you're going to go wrong. I remember when Crosby played with Bedard last year at the Worlds. The two of them were absolutely sensational together. So
Yeah.
why not put them on the same line? Doesn't matter
Right.
if it's the Olympics. Doesn't matter if it's a scrimmage. It's just it's a different mindset with the youth now in the league. So if I was Canadian management, US management, whoever it is, I would look at, yes, you need the veterans on the team. Totally understand that. You need the ones that have played at the Four Nations, ones that have been to the Olympics before, and ones that have been around the league a long time. But you need to inject the youth. And why wait? It's not like the Olympics happen every year. So
Right.
why wait if you have an opportunity to do it? I think that they would find a way to prove to each of the GMs and the management team that they'd be good fit. So yeah, I would put any of these young guys you mentioned if I could, and if there were spots, I'd put them on the team.
In terms of growing the sport of hockey, I don't think there's ever a time better than to introduce your friends who aren't hockey fans
Yeah,
to the Olympics.
right.
This season in particular, because of everyone pretty much on the same level, playing level for the most part. But what what the NHL did with the Four Nations, I have friends who had never talked about hockey before. They're bring, what's going on?
Yeah,
What's with all these these games going on? These games are awesome.
yeah,
I said, if you think they're good now, wait until the Olympics.
yeah.
We haven't seen, and again, Crosby's game-winning goal there, and for Team Canada. But you know,
You want
um,
you want to still talk about that or no?
yeah. Hey, we get to
Hey,
bring up,
I
rip
can
open some
help you.
old wounds.
I'm here. I've got ears. I'll listen to you. I'll work you through it. I promise.
I bet you will. But in all seriousness, this is
Yeah,
the type of stuff that we're going to be chirping about after Christmas.
yeah, yeah,
We're going to be talking about the Olympics. And if
yeah,
there was ever a time to introduce non-hockey fans
yeah,
to hockey in the NHL, it's
yeah,
the Olympics, man. Like Team Canada is going to be absolutely stacked.
yeah.
Team USA is going to be there. Sweden's going to be looking good.
Yeah.
Um, Give me your thoughts on the Olympics and how excited are you for these for the Olympics coming back?
It's always for me, and this is what any Olympic sport is the best in the world against the best in the world and get best in your country. So you're on the world stage, and if you're the best in that sport and the best in that profession, you should get a chance to play. So I'm so glad the NHL is going back. And the Four Nations, it was a great point you mentioned. It kick-started, and I talked to so many people that were in the game in Montreal and down in the US watching these games and just seeing, forget about, the fights that the US and Canada had right off the bat in that game. Outside of that, it
Right.
was an incredible, incredible hockey tournament. And you kind of
Yeah.
wished it was 6 nations, 8 nations. I am a huge proponent of get rid of the NHL All-Star game.
Right.
I've get rid of it. Try to do the Four Nations now. I don't know if it's not the Four Nations, maybe backpack on that or piggyback on that a bit and try to do something like that each year. The skills competition in the NHL for the All-Star game, I think, is ridiculous. It's
Right.
lost its, at least for me, it's lost its flavor. I have no interest in it.
I
The
don't
game
watch
itself
All-Star Weekend.
cares about it. The players don't care about it. The goalies are just sitting out. It's like they were taking shooting practice the whole time. And luckily for them, they only play one period. So what Gary Bettman and everybody else involved in that saw at the Four Nations, I absolutely know that they thought, wow, thank goodness we're going to the Olympic Games. And I can't wait for this. I can't wait for the games. Bill Guerin said the other day that it's not a bad problem to have when you really have to look at, say, you've got 50 potential players to join your US team and you're up all night thinking about 50. It's not like you have 10 or 15, then you've got to add ones and find here and find this. No, you have an embarrassment of riches in the US,
Right.
you also do in Canada. Both teams will be stacked. I know there's injuries with the US right now with the Kachuk brothers, especially, but to me, it's going to be, I hope I hope that this Four Nations that we saw was not just kind of a one-off thing, not in it's the only time they're going to do it, but the
Right.
quality of intensity of hockey that we saw, I don't think it will. Whenever the Four Nations happens again, I think it'll be just as good, if not better. But I
Yep.
really want to see that translate over to Italy when we get there in February.
Nice. Real question here, and this is a little more Islander centric here. Bo Horvat's on a tear.
Oh my goodness, what is going on?
Yeah, we'll get to the Islanders a little later on, but a player like Bo Horvat,
Yeah,
um, who is on a tear right now, is he going to get a stronger consideration for making a team? Or players who are on a tear, do you think they're going to get some kind of, you know, okay, do we bring in the hot player, like
yeah,
bringing in a hot goalie?
yeah,
Do they have a better shot at making the Olympics? When they're on a tear. Now, mind you, for Horvat, he has played in the World Championships before.
right.
He's very much about representing the Maple Leaf, so he
Yeah,
may have an advantage. But
yeah.
in general, players who are on a tear early on, do they have a better chance of getting on the team, or what's your thoughts on that?
I think he's on pace. I think he's on pace for 61 goals, I think, something like
Yeah,
that. It's unreal. It's unreal. He's what 16 away from what he did all of last season. Here's my take on that. And again, I always put myself in the management's shoes and I don't envy their job because it is tough when you have all these players. I always think of it in a couple of ways. Number one is if you say a Bo Horvat coming in, then who is going out that you've already penned in perhaps, and you got to find some sort of eraser on it and just let say Horvat come in. But the second thing is that it's kind of a "what have you done for me lately" thing. I remember when the Four
hmm
Nations roster was announced, I thought, "Why are they doing it so soon?" And one of the biggest things for Canada at the time, and it still will be, and I really hope this isn't an issue, but from what I know, it's probably going to happen where Logan Thompson will not get a sniff at even getting involved in this Canadian team. He didn't get a sniff at the Four Nations, which I thought he's the best goaltender. With all the respect to Aiden Hill and Jordan Binnington and Montembeau, I'm
Yep.
sorry, if you're the best at that time, even down the stretch toward the Four Nations, you should get an opportunity to get on the team. So if management leaves this thing till whenever they do, I just think it's going to be what players are the hottest at that point that should be able to go, because hockey is like any other sport. If you play well and if you play well leading up to an event, unless something drastically happens, more than likely that's going to continue. And say Bo Horvat gets an opportunity and say he continues this incredible pace. Maybe just goes a bit slower, but he still puts up points and he plays great.
Sure.
It's not like he's going to play badly with the best players in the world from Canada. If you and I were Bo Horvat, I'd think, wow, I get a chance to play with Mark Stone or whoever, put me on a line with McDavid. It's not like my
Right.
game's going to diminish. I'm going to
No,
probably play a bit better because of the quality of players that I have
you're
around
leveling
me.
up.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So in that aspect, I think that management should look at who is the hottest player as close to the Olympics as possible and as close to when they have to make that announcement of the final roster. So, but I don't know. It seems like some of the jams in different countries seem to stick with a lot of players that have been there before and they've done that before. They have some sort of loyalty, even if they're not playing as well. But to me, it's what have you done for me lately? If it so, yeah, it's a tough one. But if anyone's playing decent hockey, I certainly would give them an extra look than I would others.
Beautiful. And for those of you who have friends who are not big hockey fans, get them into hockey. Get them into the
Yeah,
sport this season.
that would be a
Get
very
them
good
prepped for
move.
the Olympics.
Yeah, very good move.
Get them prepped, folks, because that's going to be bananas
Yeah.
in February.
Hey, let me ask you something in
Sure.
this, and let me throw this back at you here. And I've had this discussion with so many people. I've also had this discussion with NHL players as well, who have won a Stanley Cup and have won an Olympic gold. I've always asked them, what is more precious to you, an Olympic gold, winning for your country, or a Stanley Cup? And probably 75% have said an Olympic gold. If you won both, what would be more precious to you?
I probably would go Olympic gold.
Okay. Yeah, I would too.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would too.
yeah, and it's just kind of like my family upbringing too. I have relatives who were in the Navy, the
Okay.
Army,
Okay.
whatnot. So
Yeah.
there's, if I were a hockey player and I had the chance to win a gold medal or Stanley Cup, I'd probably go gold medal. Like the level of emotion,
Yeah.
I think, is so much higher because now it's not just a large fan base; it's a country.
Yeah, and you're playing for the
And
like you're wearing the country on your back and on the crest, right? Like it's
yeah,
I can only imagine what that feeling is like.
yeah. For me, it would probably be the Olympic gold. Great question. You?
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, same thing.
Okay.
And another reason why probably is because the Olympics don't happen every year, right? The Stanley
They
Cup
don't.
does. Yeah, Stanley Cup
Right.
does. So you have a chance to win the cup
You
every
can win
year.
2 Stanley Cups.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So because it's not as regular a thing as the Olympics, if you get a shot, and say for example too, you win the Olympic gold. And then the next time you get a chance to represent the Olympics, I don't know if you have an injury, God forbid, or something happens where you can't go, and that's your only shot at it, right? And you end up getting it. So that to me would make it even more special. Yeah.
Robin.
USA for the silver.
Robin's from up north, so yeah.
USA for the silver. Robin, that a boy. I see the Canadian flag. There we go. There
Yeah.
we go.
Nice
There we
shot,
go.
Robin. Love you, Robin. Uh-huh. Here we go. That's gonna be going on for months, I can tell
Hey,
you that right
if
now. All
I'm
right,
on again, he can comment anytime. I'm good. There
there
we
we go.
go. I love the US too. I just want to say that. So let me get it out. But
Absolutely.
yeah, there we go.
No, 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 but we
I
get
love
to
our
hate each
Southern
other for like
family.
a week or 2, and then
Sure we can.
we'll be back to normal. That's
And
fine. So,
I've got buddies in the States who I like do shows with and whatever, and we just chat all the time. But whenever something like that happens, oh yeah, the chirp fest it's more exhausting than the actual tournament that I watch. But
yes,
yeah,
absolutely. So,
yeah,
all right, let's bring this back into the NHL. Ah, everyone's been complaining about the mushy middle. We got a
okay,
lot of 7-7s, 8-8s. We got a lot of teams at that NHL 500. That
yeah,
mushy middle is literally a mosh pit.
yeah.
I personally love this because, except for the Predators and the Flames, who are absolutely ruining this, every team is basically still in a playoff spot, whether fans like it or not.
Yeah.
We've never seen anything like this, and the closest may have been right before COVID in 2017-18 when there was a bunch of them still there.
Hmm.
But I've never seen a cluster of teams. No one has. I got to ask you, is this good for the game, or is this bad in the sense that, are we really dealing with a bunch of better teams, or are these teams really just stinking it up, and we just have a lot of stinkers?
If you look at the East, and I'm just doing the quick math as we speak, the Devils lead with 23 points, and Buffalo is 16th with 14. So if I'm not mistaken, that's only a 9-point gap between 16 teams. That's not 6 teams. That's
Right.
16 teams. The West, you mentioned Calgary. They've been terrible. Nashville and St. Louis, too. Surprisingly, not so good. But the gap is 15 points between the Avalanche all the way down to the Calgary Flames. My mindset on this is I'm all for all 32 teams being competitive. I like that in any sport. I like parity. I like when across the board you can have teams that, say, for 2, 3 seasons aren't good, but then they go on a nice 5-year run. Say Anaheim, say this is the beginning of a nice run for them. Say this
Sure.
is also a turning point for Chicago, and we're going to see Chicago and Anaheim in the next number of years be hopefully for their respective divisions and conferences, they be in the top 8 in their conference and get in. I'm all for that. You've got the teams that will continue to do what they're doing. You have the Avalanche, Dallas will be there, Winnipeg will be there, Vegas, they're never going to go away.
Right.
So you got all those big clubs that every single year are going to put up the points. I like what I'm seeing. And for the teams that are playing as well in that East and in that West, they're kind of lucky, especially I think in the Eastern Conference. They're kind of lucky that no team is running away with this thing, and they're not
Right.
significantly further back in each of their divisions. And I've said this all the time about hockey. You can't win a playoff spot in October in the first couple of weeks of November, but you can certainly lose one. You can put
Sure.
yourselves behind the 8 ball, right? And these
Sure.
points, in the first month and a half, these points are crucial. I know on American Thanksgiving, that's kind of the point where you think, okay, now we have an idea, a decent idea, say what the top 10, 11, 12 teams will be in both conferences going down the stretch. But before that, it's a crapshoot. Don't really know. So I'm all for it because I want to see more competitiveness. And I
Right.
want to see at the end of the season as well. As great as these teams have ended up drafting incredibly well. If they don't do decently in a season, they end up getting a nice pick.
Right.
Islanders a nice example. They get Schaefer, game changer. The guy it's ridiculous how good he is, and what an incredible human he is, right off the ice.
Yes. No doubt.
All the stuff he's gone through at 18, I can only imagine.
He's
So,
been great with the younger fans, and he's been
yeah,
chirping Lundqvist. Like, it's the best of both worlds with this young man. He's not
he
even a kid. You
no,
can't call him a kid.
you
He's
can't.
a young man at a very young 18 years old. He's a
Yeah,
young man.
no, he is. He's an older boy in a mature man's body already. That's what I think about him, and that's with all due respect. But I'm all for teams that say the last 10 spots in the league from 22 down to 32, there's not much of a gap. So it's not going to be, oh, so and so has a greater percentage to win that first pick. Give me some competitiveness down the
Right.
stretch with that. So I'm
Right.
good with this parity. I like it. I do think that Gary Bettman, if we were to ask him, I think that he would say this is what he wants. He wants to see growth. He wants to see Anaheim. Remember years ago when it was such a tough Western road trip going through LA and San Jose and Anaheim? I remember teams that they were lucky to get 1 point, maybe lucky
Right.
to get two. It was brutal. And for a while, I mean, it's been easy to get through San Jose. It's been easy to get through Anaheim, not so good with LA. But now maybe we're going to see these three, Western US teams down in the California area be a tough go for a lot of these clubs. So yeah, I'm for it. I think it's great, and I'd love to see more of it.
What I love seeing out of Columbus last year, and
Yeah,
granted, Columbus was a special
yeah.
circumstance, but
A lot of emotion with that team, right?
a lot of emotion. But
Mhm.
I even before what happened, I looked at the beginning of the season. I looked at the players.
Yeah,
I looked at some of the numbers, and I'm like, "Hello, Columbus."
yeah.
2 years ago, I was looking at Arizona,
Yep,
and I'm like, "Hello, Arizona." Like, you're on my radar now.
yep,
Like, you've got my attention, and
yep,
San Jose's right there right now.
yep.
Even if Utah, Anaheim, San Jose say they don't make the playoffs this year, they're coming back. Their their answer to the end of the season is, "We're gonna be back.
Oh, yeah,
Get ready for us."
yep.
Like, they're coming back with a vengeance next season, whether they make the playoffs or not. And if they don't, that's gonna be even bigger motivation for these younger teams ready to take over. And I include Chicago in that
Mhm.
because what Utah is doing, I was, I'm excited to see what Utah's doing. I'm
Yeah,
excited to see what Anaheim's doing. Chicago's right there, but out in coming back east, you had Montreal finally making the playoffs after a
yeah,
while.
yeah,
Columbus was a great story. I'm not sold yet on Philly, but there's stuff in Philly right now
yeah,
that's just like,
yep,
okay, here we go. It's like we talked about before with Crosby, Ovechkin, eventually moving over to Celebrini and Bedard. We've got some teams that have been here for a while. Now there seems to be that phase of a change coming soon, and I personally I love everyone that's actually I don't care if they're on a pace for 82 points. They're all there,
yeah.
and you can't knock them out of the playoffs because, like you said, no one's running away with it.
No,
But on the flip side, you've got teams like Washington, you've got teams like Florida, even Boston. You got a lot of teams with injuries right now. Jersey just lost Dougie Hamilton.
yeah, yeah,
Like in favor of what you just said, a lot of these teams won't be able to run away with it
right,
because they're all hampered.
yeah. So if you're in that opportunity and you're in that situation right now where you're hanging in, make sure you do. Because if these guys come back healthy, which at some point they will, and the teams, if they're playing decently well when they do come back, then they're just going to get even better. Columbus was a great story last year. I
Yes.
was with you without the emotion too. Going into that season, I thought, okay, they only missed out by 2 points. And
Right.
I think if I'm not mistaken, Montreal, yeah, they claimed the last spot, and then they got ousted by Washington, which I think was the best thing to happen to them. I always go through
Correct.
debate too with people. Oh, yeah, Montreal gets in, that's great, but they're going to get knocked. That's fine. It doesn't matter. It's about the experience. And to your point about the next year, making a point to not only get in, but get past that first round. That's Montreal's mindset, and they're playing
Bingo.
extraordinary. And Columbus was one of those teams that they only needed a couple more points, and I think they were a +5 in the plus minus, and I think Montreal was -20. I think they were -20.
Right.
and yet they still got in. So um, these teams are coming, and that's when we first started the show. One of the biggest things about this league are that these young teams with these young talented players are actually coming together. I know it's a month in. I know there's a lot
Right.
of track left. Totally get it.
Sure.
But I don't see San Jose taking a big step backwards. I don't see Chicago. You mentioned Philly. I'm a huge Philly fan. I think one of the biggest things that they needed to do was let go of John Tortorella, and they did. Especially with Mitchkov, for example, I just think that he was really holding him back and he was messing with him. And I think the team is in a better spot now, with all due respect to Torts. I do. I
Right.
think they're in a better spot now. But a lot of these teams are coming, and that's putting pressure on some
Right.
of the other ones. Like, look at the Eastern Conference. The Panthers, I know they're injured. The Maple Leafs, they stink. There's a lot of issues with them. Tampa is hanging around, but they're not. That Atlantic Division, how often?
I was actually gonna segue into the
Sure.
Atlantic Division, which is the hot mess of
Ugh.
the NHL at the moment. Um, um, you grew up as a fan of what team?
Born and raised in Toronto, so fan of the Maple Leafs, and also have some history with family in Montreal. So I've had the two of the original sixes, Toronto and Montreal. Yeah,
Okay, so how
I
is
grew up
life
in
without
Richard
Marner?
there. Life without Marner, boy, that's. Do you have an hour? 2 hours? No,
I do.
actually,
They don't. They don't want to hear.
no. I know. So I'm going to keep it really simple. Mitch Marner not being there is not the biggest reason why this team is not playing well.
Okay.
Mitch Marner not being there, yes, is a big hole to fill, and they didn't do it. And you can blame whoever you want. Blame Mitch for not waving the no move, and because his wife was, he can do whatever he wants.
Right.
That's why these players have these clauses in their contracts. You and I would probably too if we were in a situation. Give them the
No doubt.
list. That's fine. You do what you need
No
to do.
doubt.
The biggest thing with Toronto is there's dissension developing within the room with the head coach. And you and I spoke before we came on, and I can tell the listeners and viewers this story too, and I'm sure that they saw this. If they didn't, well, they can hear it now. A few
Right.
weeks back, there was a moment the Canadians were playing, and again, I can't recall who they were playing, but the game went to overtime, and there's always a pause between regulation and then overtime. And before the overtime started, the camera picked up Martin St. Louis, the head coach of Montreal,
Right.
on the bench, and three of his star players were on the ice about to do the 3-on-3. Lane Hudson, Cole Caulfield, and Nick Suzuki. Three of the best, by the way, too. You put a 3-on-3 with them in any,
No doubt. Oh my
wow,
God.
it's
Yes.
crazy. And when I looked at it, the thing that caught me was I couldn't see what St. Louis was saying. Oh, I couldn't see because he wasn't even speaking. He was listening. The head coach was listening to his three young players, again in their early 20s, I believe, very young. And he was looking at them, and I was thinking, what is he thinking? So after the game, all three said, and they were asked the question, that was kind of strange because you don't see that. You see the iPad come out, you see the head coach saying, here's what I want you to do, and then you go off and you try to do it. They all said that he was telling them, what do you think we should do in the 3-on-3? Tell me what your game plan would be. And I thought, wow, that is what all 32 teams need. Yes, they need a coach who is hard on them. I get it. They need a coach to do the X's and O's, but you need a coach to listen to your players. And I maintain this with hockey all the time. When you get to the NHL, do you really need to practice? You don't really need to practice. When I was down in Florida, I was there for game 3 and 4 of the final between Florida and Edmonton. And I was at practice, and one of the questions to Paul Maurice after was, how come practice was so short? And he said, well, what's the point of practicing if the guys know what they're doing? And then the
Right.
question was, how long your practices? He said, I've never implemented a new drill since I've been with the Panthers. And once they start to have fun, then I shut the practice off. And if it takes 10 minutes, it's 10 minutes because you don't need to teach them anything. So my point in all this is that St. Louis wasn't teaching them, he was asking. That's the biggest difference with what is happening in Toronto. I believe a lot of it is tuning out the head coach. I
Right.
believe a lot of it has to do with Craig Berube. Now, look, they've stunk. They've been playing terrible. I saw one of the comments, JT, saying they're playing immature hockey. Yeah, no one cares on that team. It's quite evident. The only one who does is John Tavares had that huge contract, that massive discount, that massive hometown bargain. But I
Hmm.
think there's a lot of dissension now, and they're tuning out Craig Berube because how often he's ripping the team. And you can do whatever you want, coach. You can do whatever you want. I would not say this to
Sure.
Craig Berube's face. That'd be stupid to do so. I wouldn't live to
Right.
see the next day. But the point is, I think there's a time where you need to step back and keep that stuff within the room. Say whatever you want, but you don't need to come out in public and say because it's not helping. It's not working. So I believe that that's one of the biggest differences, and they just don't seem to care on the ice. The body language to me is indicative of we don't really care about this game right now, and that's too bad.
Did we as fans overlook Boston real quick?
I'm one who did.
I did.
So yeah,
I mean, I knew that we both knew there were injuries to this team,
yeah, yeah.
but even when healthy, were we expecting at least to start like this?
No,
Absolutely not.
no. I was not expecting. It's funny you mentioned that because when I do the hot stove in the weekend on Sirius XM, our op Mikey is a huge Boston fan, and so we had this past Saturday. It was the first home and home. Tonight they're playing. They're playing Toronto again in the back in the home and home, but the first game was on Saturday in Toronto. The Leafs lost that one. And Mikey, during the breaks, kept saying, and I said, look, if you want to come here and talk about this, you can. He kept saying, look, I'm telling you, there's something about this team. And I said to him, I said, okay, well, what is it? That's an easy thing to say.
Right.
But he said, there's something different about this team. I see some here. Marco Sturm has done a great job. He's done a great job. He's done a great
Yeah.
job. And the thing with coaches, if you can get out of your team what many think a coach can't, you're doing a good job. And I agree.
Right.
Marco Sturm has done a great job. I didn't see this coming at all. And it's not really too with some of the other heavyweights in the Atlantic or heavyweights in the Eastern Conference not playing as well. I think Boston is relaxed. I don't think they have a ton of pressure. I think it's
Right.
just okay. Let's go out and play. Let's try to get 2 points. There's 82 times we can try to get the two, and let's see what we. I just think, and when you're relaxed, you play a lot better hockey. You may not win every night, but body language. I'm a huge proponent of body language and the mental aspect of the game and everything else. And
Sure.
I did not see this happening.
Um, we're not going to dive through each team in the Atlantic here, but maybe I would love to have you on before the playoffs because
For
I
sure.
think then we're going to get a better look
Yeah.
at the Ottawa Senators and the Florida Panthers
Yeah.
if or when they're all healthy. Do you still have Florida on your radar to possibly win a round or two, or are they just too injured too long for this season?
It's a tough one. I
Because
remember
they're
when,
also 500 without with all these injuries.
right. If other teams weren't playing as well as they are right now, I wouldn't be as concerned. But then you
Right.
have the idea of is this sustainable for a Montreal? Is this
Right.
sustainable for Boston, for some of these other teams for a full 82 game stretch? Who knows? Only time will
Right.
tell. I don't see why it can't be. But the Panthers are an intriguing group because, again, Bill Zito did everything he could and he did everything right. He signed everybody under the cap to these contracts and he brought pretty much the whole team back. But when you lose Alexander Barkov, to me, that's more of a room loss than it is a
Yeah.
physical presence on the ice. And I get it, one of the best players in the game, but he's just such a good man. He's such a
Right.
great component of that room. And Kachuk's injury, sure, that's tough. But if Florida can just hang around, for which they're kind of doing, I think they have 17 points. It's not like they're completely out of this thing
Mm-hmm.
yet. But if they can just hang around, I think they'll be okay. But again, whenever you look at some of the 16 teams in each conference, you think, well, if one team goes in who wasn't in last year, then who's going to come out? So as of right now,
Right.
I would say the Panthers, I'm not completely confident that the team is going to make it. But again, got the experience, got Paul Maurice, one of the best in the game. Team's been there before. I think maybe they're just kind of hanging around and then they're going to put their foot down at some point soon and things are going to
Right.
come together with them. So, by the way, too, just side note, I hope Barkov is able to get back at some point because
Absolutely.
the game's a
Yeah.
lot better
No,
with him back. Yeah.
I love
So,
watching his game.
yeah, me too.
Switching over to the Metro, and we're going to get to the Islanders in just a second.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same deal. We don't know what we're getting. I mean, the Rangers finally won their first road game. Excuse me, their first home game,
That's
and they're still in the mix. What the
That's
hell?
that is insane. 8 games, 1 win in 8 games at home. That's
Yeah.
absolutely it's mind-boggling. Anyway, carry on. It just, yeah, it's one of those stories in the league right now, because at the end
It
of each
sucks.
season, like almost every single team has a better home record than an away record, unless you're terrible, unless you
Right.
get, I don't know, like 60. It, this is
They're here.
it's unreal. They've had one
Yeah.
one win in 8 games at home. Anyway, yeah.
So, all right. Let's bring this back to the Islanders here for the Islander fans here who have been waiting patiently. Um, I want an outside of Long Island perspective of the Islanders. Who- what's the talk on about the Islanders outside of Long Island? Not a Islander fan
Yeah.
perspective.
I would say, not like I'm going to have to be careful. That's not what, it's not bad talk.
No, you don't have to be careful.
But the Islanders talk is a lot of it, at least that I've been hearing, and this isn't just this year, but the last number
Sure.
of years, is about, why can't the team score? They need this, they need that. They got to put the puck in the net.
Facts.
And they haven't been doing that. So what's the issue? What's the problem? And I know a lot of talk had been around Lou and everything like that, and about his time on the island and how things had to change years ago. So there's all these off ice things. I think with the Islanders, I'm confident in the group. I'm not hugely confident in the group, just because of what I think they should have been able to do a bit more in the last few years, and they haven't been able to do so. Some of the pieces they have in place are good pieces. It's the key for me, and the key from what I've been hearing from people, is Sorokin in goal. And I believe his numbers in October I think they were terrible. I think they were awful. And then he comes up with that win against the Rangers. I mean, he can look great one night and then look mediocre, but he has to look great a lot of the nights for this team, I think, to really make a push. There's confidence in the group, I think, but to be fair with my reasoning, there's a lot more confidence from what I've been hearing with a lot of the other teams in the Metro outside of the Islanders.
Okay. And what's everyone's opinion on Matthew Schaefer outside
No,
of Long Island?
give him the award for an incredible human who has come into the best hockey league in the world at the age that he has, with all the stuff that he's gone through off the ice, and just make a shrine for the guy.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm if you are a talent, which he is, Islanders fans, and I know that I'm preaching to the choir here. Everyone is thrilled that he's on their group. He's part of that group. But if you are just as good of a human as you are uh, off the ice as you are a player on the ice, you've got something going for you.
Yeah.
The comparisons to Cale Makar, I hear all the time, even at the age of 18.
Yeah.
The comparables to just how he studies the game, how he reads the game, how he reacts to the game, his puck awareness, his skating ability, his stick handling, his passing. Um, I know he's been the other night, Zadorov almost took his head off, but you know what I love? I love how every single Islander goes, "Don't you touch our boy, like get away." And then
Yep.
it's great, it's part of the team. But the impact that he's had already, and this is what I've been hearing a lot of, the impact he's had already, not just on the team, but on the environment and on the fan base, is unreal. And it's unprecedented for players at that age to have such an immediate impact and such a strong impact. And this impact is going to last a very, very long time. He is the real deal. I knew it going in. I know it now. And I know that he will be for a long time. Hats off to the guy.
Beautiful. Beautiful. We thank you for that outside perspective on the Islanders and Matthew Schaefer. So, real quick, this is a water cooler talk time for the fans. This is Ryan. We let the fans come up with any kind of weird questions, trade rumors, whatever,
Yeah.
opinions on whatnot, and we'll let them go for a couple of minutes here. Give us your questions, comments, concerns here. Ryan's got a couple more minutes for us. So fire away, folks, if you have any. Robin, she's right on this one. Schaefer gets his shots on net. No doubt. He's
Yeah.
putting everything in play.
And what did Gretzky say? Right, you miss every shot. You know, you all the shots you don't take. Right, and
Correct.
that's what I think. One of the things too about the league and about players, you don't need to try anything fancy. If you're a defenseman, just put it on net. Just put it
Thank
on
you.
net. And right, and the goals will come. The highlight goals will come.
Right.
But your job as a defenseman is to obviously stop the puck in your end, and then you got to just get it down at the other end and put it on net and see what happens. So yeah, I think that's a great comment. I love it. I love it.
Listen, for the folks who, if you feel the Islanders are not going to make the playoffs, don't be so detailish with this season. Just watch them. For example, Matthew's got a great question here. Thoughts on the new D pairings? You just blinked the Rangers and you beat the Devils 3-2. My answer, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Run with it.
Yeah.
Run with it until it doesn't work, and then you try something else. It's don't make too big of a deal of this, guys. Is it working for right now? Yes. Has Sorokin come back to life? Absolutely. That's another big part. So run with it.
I think coaches need.
Will the
Yeah, I
Islanders?
think coaches need
Go
to
ahead.
do more of that. Yeah, I think coaches need to do more of that. I remember last year, Spencer Carberry. There was Washington was I don't know, they were in the midst of like a 5-6 game winning streak or something, and at practice he switched up the lines and he was asked, "Well, why are you doing that?" And he said, "Oh, I just wanted to see if something would work." And then the question was, "Well, it's been working, so why are you doing it?" And I don't know what he said after that, but to your point about if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So don't mess with something that works.
Right. Will the Islanders make a trade at the deadline if they are in it? I got to tell you, it's still a business, Kevin.
Yeah.
I think the owners would say yes, go for it. Maybe trade a pick somewhere for extra help, maybe. But I'm not gonna lie. If the Islanders can make a push with house money and run with whatever depth they have, go for it. Unless you know this team can go beyond the second round or get to the second round of the playoffs, I say just run this team. But no, I think if they're still in it by the trade deadline, I think if you're the Islanders, you got to go for it.
I agree with that. I think they have, if I'm not mistaken, they will have 2.8 or 2.9 of cap space, something
Correct.
like that by the time the deadline hits. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you're not gonna make a significant move of a roster player if your team is close to getting in or if they have a really good shot at getting. You just don't do that. Because if
Right.
you go for however many games are to be played before the deadline, whatever it is, 60 plus, or I can't remember exactly the number left after the deadline, but
Sure.
if it's gotten you that far already, tweak it. You don't need to
Yeah.
add a huge piece and subtract a huge piece, but you can tweak it and make a
Right.
push. But and that also was something too. And I think going back to different things I've been saying about kind of the mental aspect of teams and things, you can try to make a move, but that to me, and you've heard this from players time and time again, if there was a significant one at the deadline made, even with a team that's playing well, they question saying, well, isn't our manager, GM and team president coach happy with the way that we're playing and happy with our unit? Obviously not. So there's some concern with it. And that may mess up the system that's been in place forever. So yeah, I'm with you, Paul. If they
Yeah.
get a chance to be there, fine, but don't do anything drastic.
Yeah. Beautiful. Cal Ritchie, stay up or go back down. Listen, guys. I had Cal Ritchie, and you guys know this already. At some point, I see him starting off the NHL as a 3C. Could he be a 2C at some point? Sure. Why not? It always depends on the player. But if he's not going to get minutes at center, like if he's only playing 10 minutes, 11 minutes, I would send him down to Bridgeport for a solid 20 games, give him that 20, 22 minutes, see what he can do over a longer stretch, and then you bring him up. I love the old school, a little bit of Lou, a little bit of Bill Torrey. There's nothing wrong with sending them down, keeping them there a little bit longer, so that way when they do come up, they never go back down. And Richie, to me, at this point, does he look out of place? No, he doesn't. But on an offensive team like Patrick Waugh's system is designed for. He's not putting up the numbers yet. And for now, short term, I'd probably send him down. But I don't know if I would send him down until after this road trip is over, even with Shabanov coming back. I think, give him that learning experience. We talked about this already, Ryan. Can Horvat make Team Canada? Sure. Why not?
Yeah.
He's on the hot streak, but that'll be up to management. But we definitely talked about that earlier in the show.
I'd put him in if it started
I would.
today.
He's got a 200-foot game. Ryan's
Yeah,
right.
if it started tomorrow, I'd put him in for sure. Yeah.
Beautiful. Staying healthy is key for the playoff spot. Absolutely. And I think that's with every team, Leo. This year, it's definitely proving that. Oh, my Lord, Jim. What's your ultimate fourth line look like? Too many forwards right now.
No, there you go. Take it away, Paul.
Believe it or not, and we can't have it anymore, but I was really liking the idea of Stiplikov, Cal Ritchie, and Heineman. I wouldn't have minded a fourth line like that, or even, keeping Zizekas in there for a little bit. But, we all know Casey's no longer on the penalty kill. But I think that's, Jim, to your point, I think that's the one thing the Islanders, are going to have to figure out, whether it's the rest of this season or it's in the off season. But, to your point, the fourth line's a little sketchy. Do I think the Islanders can challenge for a playoff spot? There's a lot of teams ahead of us. Like that mosh pit's for real, folks. Blunt, honest answer. I don't know. We don't know.
You ever been in a mosh pit, Paul?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
It's just like flashbacks right now. Yeah.
No doubt. It's not pretty. But kind of like this season, it may not be pretty for the Islanders. But again, like Leo said, if the Islanders can stay healthy, things go right, who knows? Let's see here. All right. This one's for Ryan. Should Sorokin play against Vegas or Utah?
Oh.
Decent
Both.
question. Both. You think he should play back to back, huh?
I don't know why goalies don't play back to back as much. I don't.
Fair enough.
I get the position is tough as you know what. I
Right.
understand the game is tough. Totally get that. But I mean, these are conditioned athletes. They're conditioned humans. They're great at their craft. You play 2 hours 45, and then you got to get up the neck or travel, whatever it is, even if they're home and homes or you're at home, and then you can't play the next day. I don't, not like you can't, but the coach always 9 times out of 10 says no. Out of those two, that's a tough one. I would play him half a game one and half a game two. No, I would probably take Vegas. Always, to me, if you have back to backs, I think
Right.
if you're gonna choose your starter for one or the other, always do it for the first of the back to back games. So I'd go with Vegas if they play them on Thursday. I think you said.
Fair enough. I know. Everyone loves that greasy first line. Everyone loves Heineman with Horvat. I know I'm conceding that, but as a fourth line, we would need like another Heineman type, another active skater, can put the puck on net like Heineman can. He's got a great shot. Maybe another Cal Clutterbuck in that version is probably what the Islanders need at this point.
Loved him.
So, any other questions, comments, concerns, boys and girls, before we end this show? All right. So before we end the show, Ryan, where can people find you on social media? Where else are you active on?
On X, Ryan and Paton. On Instagram, same thing. I've got the YouTube, a couple of YouTube channels, Pucks and Seven. So youtube.com at Pucks and Seven. So click on that. You'll find my podcast with myself and Victoria Matiash. This is our 4th year doing that, so you can do that. And then Sirius XM NHL Network Radio as well. I do a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and then I do the show on the weekend every Saturday. So that's Channel 91, The Hot Stove. So yeah, we're back at it again this Saturday. So lots going on. And again, if you love hockey like you guys do, and everyone listening, it's there's worse things to be doing than talking hockey.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So listen, Ryan, I want to thank you so much for coming on. This was
Pleasure.
a blast, bro. This was a lot of fun. The fans I know loved you here. I want to thank you guys for coming on to the show. Listen, we need you to hit that like button on YouTube for not only the show. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. Make sure you like us and follow us on Isles Talk, Facebook, X, and you can follow me on X at P_Kreischer. Thank you guys coming on for coming on. As far as next week's show goes, my schedule's a little messed up. I may actually be crazy enough and do a show during the Detroit Islander game at 7 on the away game. We'll just do like a live game. Catch up, questions, talk, we'll discuss the game as it's going on, kind of like a virtual viewing party. I'm thinking about doing something like that for Thursday. So for Ryan and myself, we thank you for coming on. Let's go Islanders, and we will see you sometime next week.